We start with a dead-on headly collision. SoCal, Santa Ana area. Here's the Fox 11 report.
A horrific crash in Orange County leaves at least 2 people dead tonight, others injured.
Good evening. Welcome to Fox 7 News at 10 o'clock. I'm Ellis Michaels.
And I'm Christine Devine.
We start with breaking news in Santa Ana. A driver colliding head-on with several other cars tonight on Main Street, killing 2 people and injuring others.
Fox 11's Matthew Seedorf is the only reporter on scene tonight, is live with more. Matthew?
Authorities now working to determine why the driver was on the wrong side of the road and going so fast.
Be safe and be thankful for every minute and every day that we have.
Back out here live, Elliot.
Nasty scene there. Again, multi-car crash, head-on collision in Santa Ana. We condolences to the families of those that lost loved ones, and yes, drive carefully. Newsom's going to try to redraw the district lines. I hope he runs this off. It might be the final nails in the Newsom political legacy, but here we go.
Joining us now with the latest developments. Michelle?
Mark, this Republican-led effort is backed by President Trump in order for the party to keep control in the House in the 2026 midterms. Well, Governor Gavin Newsom now saying today he plans to fight fire with fire.
California will not sit by idly and watch this democracy waste away.
A political counterattack from California Governor Gavin Newsom as the state legislature considers new political maps that could cut 5 Republican House seats. The move a direct response to attempts in Texas to redraw House districts.
We have trigger component.
I hope he goes along with this gerrymander of epic proportions. Again, this will hopefully knock the death knell out of stupid Newsom and his hopefully winding down in the next year and a half political career. Kernan over at CNBC, and it's the only good one I know, the only basically the only half honest network over there on the Peacock, at least in their news department. Kernan had Trump on the phone on CNBC of all places, and he challenged Trump this fact-checking stuff. Trump said, "Hey, I got the most votes in Texas. Oh, we're going to fact-check you on this." Trump's got his comedy act and sarcasm sharpened to a fine point. Here we go.
I have the best poll numbers I've ever had. You know why? Because people love the tariffs, and they love the trade deal, and they love that foreign countries aren't ripping us off anymore. For years, they ripped us off, friend and foe. And the friend was worse.
Overall poll numbers, you don't have the best you ever had in overall poll numbers. You do. I cited one of those.
I have the best poll numbers I've ever had.
Among
I have poll numbers where I'm 71%. I have the best poll numbers. Look,
those are among Republicans.
No. Among Republicans, I'm at 94 and 95%. No, I'm talking about generally. I have the. Let me put it this way: there was a gentleman on Harry Emden yesterday on CNN, and he went crazy over how well Trump was doing. Now, you don't put that on because I think CBS is a shade. Actually, CNN's a shade better than NBC. I think NBC is probably the worst of them all. But if you check CNN tomorrow, watch Harry Emden, and you'll see about the.
Again, that's sharpening the things up for Donald J. And again, they tried challenging his numbers. And again, he said, "I'm on top of the game in Texas, most votes." They tried the old fact-checking thing.
Here we go. So you did get the highest number of votes in Texas, so that's true. But when you were talking about,
then you don't have to say anything more, Joe.
I got to say this.
No, don't say anything more. Don't qualify it by saying,
no,
I got the highest number of votes.
You did.
In the
history
of Texas.
I'm moving on. here we go. So
That's the beauty of Donald J. He stopped him right there. You don't have to go any further. I was right. I got the most votes in Texas. Deal with it. You wouldn't have, there hasn't been a president yet, at least in the modern television era, since 60 and John Kennedy, that's had the guts and backbone and the gumption to come right back at these guys and not take any crap. Of course, Trump's signing an executive order to create a task force for the LA Olympics because Buffoon Bass and her crew and Gavin Newsom, as with the fires and everything else, can't run anything. So he's going to, as he said, he's taking over Washington, D.C. Maybe he's going to roll in and take over L.A., at least for the Olympics. And let's hope he does, because if you leave it to Bass and the crew, they will foul it all up. In the meantime, a train hit some power lines in San Bernardino. That power has been restored, but a lot of school closures in the Purdue area, but they are back on track. Wife suspected of killing her husband during an argument in the Inland Empire, Corona Pacifically. They arrested the wife after they found the husband dead when they got a call of unknown nature. Well, they found out they had a dead body, and the wife of the dead body was detained and arrested for murder charges. 728 to 781. The government figures that is workforce affordable housing. Holy bleeping cow. We'll probably get to this later on in the week, because this has to do with what went on down at the Board of Supervisors in our little discussion. These guys are delusional. There's no way in the Inland Empire a basic house should be costing you $750 frickin' $1,000. San Bernardino deputy was charged with extortion and bribery while on duty. Definitely be following up on that one. You don't think you want Mexico to come to California, and you doubt what I'm saying, that the cartels run thing, and if you don't obey the cartels, they will off you, they will cut your head off and throw you in the middle of the street as a message to anybody who disobeys. 32 dismembered bodies discovered at an abandoned house in Mexico. Also, Fox News reporting 132,000 people are missing. We cannot let Mexico come to the U.S. for any reason, at any time. We're going to get into this a little deeper. But Gavin Newsom is now hand and knees, kissing the rear end of Big Oil, saying, please come back, before everybody hates me more than they do. That's an article in Politico that just came out. Fontana man, undocumented migrant, meaning illegal alien, was hiding from ICE agents as they tried to kick his door open. Well, you know, if you're not in the country illegally, you don't have to worry about that. Here's the 7 report.
Showing a man running from federal immigration agents in Fontana to avoid being detained. You can see him running into his home just before agents pounded on his door. Inland Empire reporter Leticia Juarez has more on the video and spoke with the man about what happened.
Okay, he says, oh, I'm innocent. Those charges I've had that were on there were dropped for all sorts of things. You're still in the country. Are you still in the country illegally? If you are, you're subject to deportation from ICE. San Bernardino County Sheriff Dicus is welcoming in new canine Zeke. So welcome to the force, Zeke. Hope you have a great career, and I'm sure you will, keeping us safe. Alex Michelson, the Channel 11 reporter, has said is dumping Fox and moving on to another venture, which he says he will name here fairly soon. So we shall see where Alex lands, but he's been a pretty good bright spot in our area as far as the local news, which, like with the national news, as we call them, mostly the dipstick media. But Alex is a pretty good guy. Could be a little more aggressive, in my opinion. Maybe that's what this new job is. We shall see this and much, much more in the next hour on IE Newswire. There's funky soul live guitar music that comes on every Monday through Friday, live at 5 in the Evil Up Network, Rumble X, YouTube, on the Roy Bullacker channel. Seem to be, I don't know, maybe they like us more. Somebody's got a hard on for IE Newswire on YouTube, but they like my name for some reason. Lots of stuff to roll through in the rest of this hour. Some of the more unusual things that happen, or you don't see, as they say every day, is a bull wound up at the Jurupa Valley School. So I guess there's still some hillbillies left in the old Jurupa Valley area. But Hemet Sheriff's Station was called out to rustle the bull. As you see, they finally got control of the bull out there. Oh, man. I guess maybe the bull was having trouble reading or doing his arithmetic or something and decided he'd take a stroll down to the schoolhouse and see if he could sharpen up on some of his academics, like some of our kids need to do. We went through that yesterday, and finally the press enterprise is asking the question, if the graduation rate is so high, why is a vast majority of the students not at grade level? I think we got 60% of our third graders are not reading at grade level, which means they're going to be regulated to a life of poverty, incarceration, criminality. Been many studies done on this. You can predict the future crime rate in a community by the third grade level of reading and arithmetic. Simple. If you're not that, that's why you have basic requirements that you are supposed to meet every year in school. They're not test scores. They're not all the evil words they try to come up with. They're minimum standards to maintain future societies and have the next generations have a better opportunity than the last ones, which looks like it's in the verge of turning around for the first time in the history of the United States. So maybe the bull was sending a lesson, hey, kids, pay attention in school. Learn reading, writing, and arithmetic. And all that fun stuff. Some of the more pointed subjects we got to, and this whole Newsom stuff. I hope and I really think they're going to get their ass handed to them on this. None other than Arnold Kennedy, or as you may know, the former governor, Arnold Schwarzenegger, who married into the Kennedy family, Maria Shriver, came out against Gavin Newsom's redistricting proposal. It was Schwarzenegger that basically put together the citizens redistricting committees, which came about in 2008 and 2010 as he was going out the door. And as corrupt and as gerrymandered, especially, the first map they did in 2012 wasn't bad, or 2011. The one they did in 2021 was a gerrymander. Proof, about 40, in the last 20 years, take any statewide office, give or take a few percentage points, it's been about 60% Democrat candidate gets, and about 40% of the Republican gets a vote. Don't care if you're running for Secretary of State, governor, sewer cleaning commissioner, or whatever. So we have 53 seats. So if you had fair lines drawn in California on our congressional deal for the House of Representatives of the United States of America, you should have, if you take 40%, you should have 21 seats as Republican, 32 seats Democratic. It's 45-8, 45 Democratic, 8 Republicans. And the people on this time admitted on the redistricting committee, we gerrymandered it. But it didn't make any difference. It's gerrymandered to the max right now. And they figure they can pick up 5 more seats and make it 50 Democrats to 3 Republicans. By any standard that you want to come up with, fairness or equity or inclusion or any of this other stuff, Gavin Newsom is flushing it down the toilet. And I don't see why. I mean, the only political place this would have is for if he makes a run, which is almost certain for 2028 for the Democratic nomination for president. And you got to run hard left to get the nomination, or he's going to stake out that territory. because they had to poll this. They polled this initiative. That's only going to be, which is really going to screw things up because it says by the 2032 election, we're going to go back to the citizens-drawn districts. So all these lines get redrawn for only 3 elections, 26, 28, 30. Then we're going to have a bunch of pissed off congressmen or congressmen running against them or getting thrown out because the maps are at least slightly drawn better. I think this may be the biggest backlash, even more than the French Laundry, which Newsom suffered a lot, but he slithered his way out of that. And I'm not saying that the ladies won't bail him out again. But with Harris pulling out of the governor's race, and again, politics can change on a dime. But the big rumors are Caruso's going to jump. Rick Caruso is the billionaire developer is going to jump in. And I would say if I had to predict it this time, I think it's going to be Eleni Kokkolanis or Cockroach or whatever, the lieutenant governor. Because her daddy, he's a big housing developer up in Sacramento. He's like Eli Broad down here. Big in the Democratic circles, and she can throw around a lot of money, not only on her campaign, a lot of contributions across the board. That's why Pelosi, Hillary, Barbara Boxer have all endorsed the Cockroach. And she's got enough money to buy name recognition and buy the ads, as Caruso does. And that's what it usually comes down to. So I think if Caruso jumps in, which should be coming, I think at sometime after Labor Day, is when I hear they're going to roll out the Caruso for governor campaign. If Caruso jumps in, I would say today it's probably going to be Kokkolanis or whatever versus Caruso. You're going to have KC or CK, however you want to say it. That's how we see it today. But obviously, things can change on a dime.
30 seconds, Roy.
They will in politics, no doubt of that. As Sean said, we'll be joining the Mighty Met KMET here in a few minutes, seconds, or something like that. We'll pick up with some of this other stuff.
10 seconds. Here we go.
As he said, we'll be right back.
IE Newswire Daily is on the air.
The following is a paid program. Views and claims expressed are those of the program producer and are not endorsed by this station. Opinions expressed are not necessarily those of radio station KMET management.
There's that funky slide guitar music that comes in every Monday through Friday, live at 5:30 on the Mighty Met 1490 AM, broadcasting all over the Inland Empire in the 4-inch AM band. Join your vast studio audience in the Evil Epi Network, Rumble, X, YouTube on the Roy Bleckert channel. Check us out, subscribe, type in IE Newswire on all those. Bull showed up at Jurupa Valley School and said, hey, I need to sharpen up on some of my math and reading skills just to prove, and it proves there's still a few hillbillies left in Jurupa Valley. Oh man, we love to prey on those guys, but we love our old, as I would call it, we used to call them Ruby-Doo residents, but now they're the big town of Jurupa Valley. But that was a fun scene, but the Jurupa Valley Sheriff's Station got the bull under control and in a trailer and back to wherever it was supposed. I hope where it was supposed to go. I hope we're not paying for that on the taxpayers' dime any more than we had to. of that, but we shall see. San Bernardino schools suffered a power outage over a train crash or incident over there in that, but the power's back on for the Purdue schools on that. In Fontana, the ICE agent was caught on camera. The ICE agents were chasing a guy. He did sneak back into his house and get the door locked before they came in, but ICE says there's criminal warrants on that. He says, no, they're not. That stuff. I did have stuff, but it was on. Dude, you're in the country illegally. If you are, well, let's say if you are, if you're undocumented in the country illegally or unlawfully, however, you are subject to deportation by the United States federal government. Plain and simple. My advice to those is if you're not in the pipeline with a legitimate and went through the legitimate process to become a citizen of the United States, take the $1,000 and self-deport and reapply. Reapply the legitimate, the lawful way. Then you don't have to worry about ICE agents chasing you down, kicking at your door, or any of those other fun things that were happening to the guy in Fontana. But the ABC 7, you know, most of our local news, just like the national news, you know, they're trying to boo-hoo-hoo. It's new sheriff in town. What can we say? It's what the people voted for. And Joe Biden is gone. You decided to ignore the law and or whatever, even if it was before that. There's a process. We let in 1 million a year. Follow it. And we have no problems. We don't need to be protesting or calling each other names. If you want to change the law, go lobby Congress. They're the ones that make the law. They can make it any way they want. Trump and his administration are just enforcing what's on the books, the will, not of Donald Trump. They're enforcing the will of the United States Congress, the Senate and the House. There are lots of different aspects, and we ran the clip earlier, but I want to run it again. This was what makes Trump far and away the way different than anyone else who's been president. He was on with Kernan on CNBC, and I will say this, of all the Peacock networks, and CNBC is probably the best business channel in my view. They're not total kooks like over on PMSNBC or NBC News. But Kernan was trying to challenge him and Trump said, I got the most votes in Texas. He said, well, we're going to fact check that. And they did, and this is what went down on the Squawk Box.
Here we go. So you did get the highest number of votes in Texas, so that's true. But when you were talking
then you don't have to say anything more, Joe.
I got to say this.
No, don't say anything more. Don't qualify it by saying,
No, I'm
I
not
got
gonna,
the highest
I'm moving
number
on.
of votes
You did.
in the
you
history
did. I'm moving
of
on.
Texas.
I'm moving on. Here we go. So
Here we go. Here we go. This guy, Trump, is light years ahead in knowing how to communicate than any other president. That includes Reagan or Hussein, Clinton, which were all great communicators. They pale in comparison to Donald J. And that right there. And he doesn't let people shape the narrative. And Royism 101, he who shapes the narrative wins. And that's what has made Trump successful not only in business, but especially in politics. Is he understands that, and he's the best at it that we've ever seen. Is in the, let's say, in the television era, which I go back to 1960, in the Kennedy versus Nixon race. You know, up until that time, it was mostly on radio. Some Eisenhower, little bit of Truman, and very little bit of, mostly it was like movie clips or something you seen at the movie theater, because television wasn't that big when FDR was in. Really, you could say the modern television era started in 1960, and especially in politics, with the Kennedy-Nixon debates. But this guy right here, and again, look how he's controlling the interview. He's not saying, "Oh, Kernan, don't hurt me." No, he's controlling the interview, and that's the genius of Donald J. One of the most interesting turn of events and it has to do, of course, with Governor Gavin Newsom. This was on Politico, care of MSM. How big oil got Newsom to change his tune? The headline really should read, how Newsom, who has systematically destroyed the oil and gas and energy business in California, is now at both bended knees begging them to come back. Please drill, baby, drill. Now, he's too much of an egomaniac narcissist to say Trump was right and everything AB 32 and climate change and all the lies I told about it and everyone else. But behind the scenes, he's saying, he's groveling to the oil industry, saying, please come back before the people start hating me. And this is in Politico, not part of the vast right-wing conspiracy. Governor Gavin Newsom spent the last 4 years provoking the big oil boogeyman. Now it's haunting him. The past 4 years. Try the past 20 since he became mayor of San Francisco. Newsom's casting of big oil as the villain behind the state's perpetually high fuel prices signaled the industry's waning influence in Sacramento. But the plot took a dramatic turn as the governor's party when 2 refineries in the state announced closure plans. Refineries all across the globe are struggling. BS. Refineries all across the globe are thriving. Most of the, I don't know, what did we have 30 years ago? 60 refineries, and now we're down to 12, going to single digits. Most of them moved to Houston, Texas. You know what they were doing under Trump 1 and now they're doing under Trump 2? They were refining oil and sending out as refined gasoline and diesel to other countries, which was making us a net under Trump 1 and now coming back under Trump 2, a net energy exporter. We exported more energy out than we imported in. A very smart proposal because that makes everybody in the United States wealthier. Not inviting every third world criminal coming into this country, lowering the price of wages. Newsom said last month in unveiling a suite of proposals to keep refineries solvent, including holding talks with potential buyers and offering incentives to boost in-state oil drilling. Now, this is rich. How many times the evil oil companies, that evil Donald Trump wants to drill, baby, drill. They're exploiting. They're price gouging. They're ripping you off. We're going to investigate. Now he's offering incentives to drill oil after not only did he eliminate or ban all oil and gas exploration in California, he was capping existing pumping wells of oil and natural gas. He wanted none. Zero. We got some challenges, and so requires some new considerations. They're not new considerations. People were telling you this was going to happen from the Chevrons who moved from Martinez, California to Texas, moved the headquarters. For the tech boom, Chevron was the biggest corporation anchored in California. The about face is emblematic of Democrats' course correction on cost of living issues in the wake of a presidential election and provides a real-time demonstration of political risk or pursuing aggressive transition away from fossil fuels. The reality is, if those refineries close and we have increased gas prices, it's going to be a problem for everybody, said Andrew Acosta, a veteran California Democratic consultant, not just Gavin Newsom, but every Democrat running for office. Oh, let's hope so. If the center-right Republicans, freedom and liberty types do not hang this all over the center-left, the eco-freaks that have called us names, told us we were stupid, gave us the false Mary Nichols reports to make our gas prices the highest in the nation and tell us how all evil we were. You know, you're going to kill everybody burning that fossil fuel. Does that sound like the whole mass deal and their COVID and everything? You know, if you go over to grandma's house, you might kill her. If you go outside, people will die. So lock yourself inside. And if you don't, if you're out on the beach, if you're a mom with your 2 little girls, we're going to send the thugs with the big guns in there. Democrats are grappling with the reality as they attempt to claw back voters from President Donald Trump and Republicans in acknowledgement of the conservative messaging that blue state officials are out of touch with daily life has struck. Out of touch? They're completely off the scale. Look at the deal in the press enterprise. Affordable housing in San Bernardino and Riverside is considered $750,000 a copy. That's a starter home. Oh, they're touting how great it is. If we continue to buy this nonsense, we really deserve what we get. It represents a departure from the wave of enthusiasm around the progressive climate policies that Newsom was stoking as recently as a month before the presidential election. Remember, they're price gouging. We're going to investigate. Well, Mischke from USC said absolutely no evidence anywhere that the oil companies are charging any more per gallon. The guy providing you at the convenience store or gas station, pumping it, the wildcatters, the refiners are gouging you or charging you any more than anywhere else in the United States. The reason gas is 50% and has been for about a decade in California more than the national average is totally government policy and money that goes directly to the government, mostly to the state of California. And what do? Make your kids stupid. Raise the price of electricity. Raise the price of groceries. Do not build new roads so they're clogged so you can't even get to work or enjoy a day at the beach or whatever. Or pray tell, go up to Big Bear or make a trek up to Yosemite or something. Go to Las Vegas because it's full of cars, because the roads are clogged, because you haven't fixed those, and because they're the highest in the nation. And then you figured, well, if we don't build any roads, they can have all the cars they want. They'll still be sitting in the garage. Like we said, we're down to 12. We'll probably be down to 9 refiners by the end of 26. And that's when Mischke said it's probably going to be $8 a gallon or more. That's if there's no price spikes in the oil for other reasons or anything else. So between this redistricting and Newsom coming out, he won't say it. He's saying it to the oil companies. Would you please drill, baby, drill? Before I'm referred to as the Joe Biden of governors. Like with this, there are signs. There are optimistic signs out there for us. We'll catch some of the locale events and news, Hemet Police Department. We're doing some training today from 8 to 5, including active shooter training and much, much more. So don't be alarmed. Murrieta cops are looking for help while they are investigating incidents out in the city, so they're hiring also. Sheriff's deputy assigned to Hesperia, we did that in the news, who was arrested on suspicion of extortion and bribery. Definitely be following that. We'll get into this one maybe later this week. The baboon massacre. German zoo feeds cold primates to lions, meaning they took monkeys and fed them to the lions there in the zoo in Germany. And the emotional ones were having a fit. We'll catch that up later in the week. Then we had the bull story, the bull that showed up at the Jurupa Valley School. That cracks me up. Corona Police Department, we did that where it appears or a wife was arrested for shooting her husband. Our Mimi of the day, the lady says, you only talk about boats. The man says, what do you want to talk about then? The lady says, talk to me about your feelings. The man says, I really love boats. And that pretty much sums up males and females and their outlook on the world. Fatal crash in the Paris area. That was another wrong-way driver to go along with the fatal one that we had in Santa Ana that we ran the lead on. Jurupa Valley cops were busy as they arrested a sex offender who was taking pictures of juveniles. And guess what else they found? Coffee with a Cop, August 19th, is coming in San Bernardino, so check that out. National Night Out tonight, too, all around. San Bernardino, Moreno Valley, San Jacinto, Rancho Cucamonga, Rancho, California, and all will be out there. Sad news, Riverside County K9 Herbie passed away. So rest easy, K9 Herbie. City of Chino welcomes back students and teachers to the schools. They're starting schools on August 5th. For crying out loud, there's that story about the affordable home at $750,000 in the Inland Empire. This one's another one. Wildlife officials warning after wild pigs found with blue meat in California. Apparently they got a hold of some rat poisoning, which goes to show you how tough pigs are. Some tough mammals running around our society. The Norco prison will close in 2026, which it should. That place has been a dump, the women's prison over there. Deputies arrest a Ukaipa woman for theft and drug. Rancho C cops say. So good job there. Let's party as Chino Police Department wishes a happy birthday to K9 Susie. Last one, yeah, the hook and ladder truck in Moreno Valley had a problem. Almost to that. 31-year-old inmate dies after suffering a medical emergency. And we rolled through, just in a nick of time, all the local news we had up on IE Newswire. Be a fun day again, National Night Out, all around SoCal. So check it out. There's probably one in your community. We usually say at this time, mandatory you're back here in 23 hours. Why? To hear the best darn show in the whole wide world. Until then, see ya.
The preceding was a paid.
All right, Roy, take it easy. I will talk to you Friday.
You got it.
Bye.